Hi and welcome to Business Belters. On this series we will be looking at a whole series of long-term strategy episodes, how we can kind of get ahead in business. On today's episode we're going to be looking at lifestyle businesses, a really different one for me and Mark because we generally are all about building up companies as assets, but we want to touch on this for people that want to have more work-life balance, really focusing on what that lifestyle business is. So in the episode we'll be analysing that and looking at the different pros and cons to what you could do as a lifestyle business owner. So here we are in the second episode of the Business Belter series on long-term strategy for your business. Today's episode we're talking about lifestyle businesses. I thought this one would be a bit interesting because it's a little bit different. I've never set a business up for this kind of thing, but I'm also fascinated that businesses do this. This is what they're looking to do. They've maybe got family commitments or they have no desire. Maybe they're ex-corporate and they're thinking, I don't really want like a hardcore 7-day-a-week job. I'm looking for something I can do more passive. I can maybe do 2 or 3 days a week. I can do a couple of meetings. So maybe something like a mortgage advisor is a good example of this, or a financial advisor, something that they can kind of fit around their life and have that freedom. Because wealth isn't the only way of measuring are you a success. For other people it's having freedom of their time. I think it would make a really good contrasting episode to what we've been speaking about, because it's very different to certainly my school of thought and what I suspect is probably your school of thought, but I'll be interested to see what you say on that.
Yeah, it's very interesting to look at lifestyle businesses, and it's not a bad thing. I personally have goals and ambitions, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, that we're very driven people. We want the best for ourselves. We want to continue to grow. I want to see my business continue to grow. I want to see how I buy other businesses. Like, that's what I want to do, and like I'm hungry for. But I do understand that there are people out there that just like to have their business and like to do things the way that they want to do it. I mean, obviously, probably touching on, it's quite prevalent on the book 4-Hour Work Week. A lot of people have read that and they like that idea of having that sort of lifestyle business. And it's an easy life, isn't it? You make a certain amount of money, you do the job that you love to do. And you finish, you basically try to sell your business down the line, when everything's all kind of finished. Now, my dad's probably had a lifestyle business. He had his own accountancy practice, and I can see it just now. He's at retirement age. He's fit and he's healthy, and he's like, but you can tell that he doesn't want to stop, because it's just his lifestyle, and essentially that's like he's not want to kind of go away from the tools, because that's like part of his life, and you can see that's a big thing for him. However, what you've actually got to think about is the risk of a lifestyle business. What if you become sick? What if you you go out and you get knocked down by a car and then you're basically in hospital? Who takes over?
It doesn't happen though, does it? Surely business owners live forever.
Exactly. But
so we believe.
And I think it's probably a good thing for us to kind of delve into and just take a bit of a deep dive into like lifestyle businesses, the pros, the cons, the risks and rewards from it. Because again, as I said, I've got my dad. Obviously he's a lifestyle business. Me, very different, wanting to try and expand and buy businesses as well. So it's good to try and take a deep dive into it.
So let's start there. I'd like to kind of talk about that in the sense of the main risk that I see with a lifestyle business is exactly what you just said, something happening to them. So I think to make the episode instantly valuable, I think if you are looking at a lifestyle business, there's ways of protecting yourself. So I would look at income protection, so that if you are unable to work, you have income protection in place, and for the love of God, have life insurance in place. A lot of people, they cancel things down to the wood. They forget that how valuable they are as an asset. Like, you are the person that runs that business. Make sure you have that in place. So if you have income protection, it means that if something happens to you, you will still be guaranteed an income for whatever you've set up for it. And likewise, try to set up a kind of 3 to 6 months fund of income. Obviously, if you had something longer term like cancer or some of the worst kind of illnesses, that might actually run through even that runway. So having insurances and things like that in place is essential. A lot of business owners that have 2 directors think that they have immunity from that, but you and your co-director could be in the same plane. You could get the same disease, you could get hit by the same car. So likewise, income protection for that as well. But there's actually another one called shareholders protection, and it's actually even more prevalent when you've got 2 directors, because if, for example, I'm your co-director and I get really badly sick, I die, my wife takes over the business and she's maybe not aligned to where we were with the business, you've now got a new business partner that has the exact same equity stake that you do. Whereas shareholder protection would basically put in the writ of the company that on the event of that triggering, that the company would ensure to buy out the shares of that other party and then give it to you. So it means that you, as the primary owner that remains, gets control of the company, as well as that family getting money, which is what their goal will be. But I think a lot of businesses forget about that, because it's like we live in utopia land where no one ever gets sick, even though we see it every single day in our families and our home life, in the commercial world. But I think it's really important to do that. I just wanted to say that because there is a lot of people that set up a solo business as a lifestyle business and they're not thinking about how do you protect yourself. Always know your end game, always know how you protect yourself or minimise your risk before you get started.
And how do you do that? Is that going through an insurance company?
So you can go through most independent financial advisors like an IFA will be able to discuss that with you. There's also things like mortgage protection, and an IFA will, I'm not an IFA, this isn't financial advice, it's more just like straight up business advice. But I think definitely speak to an IFA and advisor, because getting these kind of policies in place, it's not going to cost you all that much money, but the consequences of not having it could really leave your family in a bad position, your business partner in a bad position, or your company. Because at the end of the day, is you want to make sure the staff are looked after, your family's looked after. I used to worry about this quite a lot as an employee, actually, because I used to work for quite an old couple, and I thought, what is their strategy here? Like, what are they going to do if one of them passes away, or if they both pass away? And then I actually asked the questions there, like, what is the succession plan in this business? And they must have thought, that's a bit rude of you. But I was actually trying to work out for myself, going, but have you thought about it? Mm-hmm. Because you're not a spring chicken. So you do need to think about it. Even as a young guy, I need to think about it. And you need to think about it, because if that happens, you end up in a really kind of squirrely scenario, if you want to put it that way. But I think for lifestyle businesses, that risk is really quite high, because you are the sole entity of that company. You're the person that brings in the bacon.
What about as well, just a thought in my head, is that you have a lifestyle business, but you maybe get to like 55, 60, but then go, I now need to change my plan, and I now need to sell my business. I'm now going to try and scale down. Because
where have I heard that before?
Because you then can see bits of problems coming in there, because then you've built up the business that the clients trust you, you're the person to contact. It's going to be really hard to say, all right, and now I've now got somebody else that's going to come in and succeed, while I just go off and take my yacht and retire. I probably think there'll be a lot of problems around about that. I
personally don't think you could sell it, because I would never buy a business, and I don't think any intelligent investor would buy a business where it required the person to run it. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't buy Marketing Mavens if it required Mark Conley to be in the company. And a lot of people will buy a business where they'll actually effectively rent the owner. What they'll say to the owner, like, you need to stay for a period of 6 months or a year or so to allow us to kind of migrate, kind of like we were talking about in the last episode. What's that phasing? What does it look like? However, those kind of businesses have less value, because there's a dependency there on the owner. So you have to almost think, right, now all of a sudden as the investor I have to solve how to hire these 3 people, whereas in the last episode we're talking about how to use the business owner, have to solve it. So that's now been thrown over the fence. And if the investor's kind of stupid enough to buy that business, they now need to solve that problem. Now some of them might already have solutions, because they go, well, he thinks that, but I actually have an MD, a marketing director, a financial director, so I could merge that business flat and I'd be there in 2 seconds. But his perception is he's given me the problem, so I can lowball the price. So I can understand it for that perspective. But yeah, it's definitely something they need to think about, is what does that look like? Like, what are you actually buying? Because if you look at a lot of businesses that go up for sale are coffee shops,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the perfect example. That is a lifestyle business.
Mm-hmm.
If you're buying a coffee shop, you are buying a job,
Mm-hmm.
right? Very few coffee shops can actually run independently.
Yeah.
So you're basically leaving corporate. You love the idea of running a coffee shop, and then you realise it's super early wakes, long shifts,
Mm-hmm.
thankless task. It's hard to scale. It's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Massive difference buying that business versus buying something where it's like, well, I could actually have that running on autopilot, and I
Mhm.
just need to make sure that the senior management do certain things.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like one of the businesses in here, she makes cakes, and I speak to her a little bit as well. But it's definitely a lifestyle business from her. She's in there very early in the morning, bakes cakes, sells the cakes, makes a bit of profit on doing that. But she's finding it very, very hard to basically then hire somebody, because there's lots of things. There's the fear of, if I hire somebody, they'll take everything that I know and then go and start up their own business,
Yeah,
and
take it away from
then
you.
and basically take away the business from you, undercut you.
That's actually one of the famous business blockers. So it's like, seeing you start up a company, like I don't know if this is documented anywhere, but it's always been something I thought about. Making the jump from employee to a business owner is a first blocker. The second is hiring staff, exact to that problem that you're outlining there.
Mm-hmm.
And the third is taking on premises. They are really hard challenges for people to get their head round, and especially if they're kind of struggling from exact to that. Like, I've had friends' businesses where every time I hire somebody, they learn the kind of suppliers, they learn the machines, they buy the machines, they take the suppliers, and they go and set up their own company.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, why are you telling them what the machines are then? Why are you telling them who the suppliers are then? Like, engineer the process where they can't do that to you. Or do what I kind of do, and I try and build it. Like, have you seen the film Moneyball?
Yeah.
So Moneyball, obviously, for anybody that's not seen it, is you're taking the fragmented skills and then together they make a cohesive picture, but separated, there's almost like not value there. So if you have a job where it's like you actually need 4 or 5 people for that to run really well, it's harder to replicate. So if your business is easy to replicate, then it's easy for a competitor to come in your space, and it's certainly easy for a staff member to steal your business.
Yeah.
But there's ways of protecting that by she could control certain parts of the process.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, the very best example of this is McDonald's. McDonald's have took non-college, university graduated staff, so literally almost no background skills at all, and they have turned it into an empire that works mechanically like that. Now, I'm pretty sure that every single person at McDonald's knows how to fry a burger, fry chips, do all that kind of stuff, but it's so systematised that it doesn't really matter. And if you look at it, that's exactly what they've done. They put them in little silos, so there's no one that kind of says, right, I know exactly how to start at McDonald's. It's just too big a machine to replicate.
Yep.
Where did they get the machines? Where's the supplier? Where does the ice cream come from? Where did the sachets come on? What is chemical 42692 that we pour into the... it's that type of stuff. Everything is so large that it's hard to mimic. And I think lifestyle businesses, they are at risk because by their nature, they kind of have to be something that you can kind of pick up and run alongside.
It's interesting you say that about McDonald's and having a risk, but it made me kind of think about franchises. A lot of people will have a lifestyle business. Network marketers as well. Those people that are bought into like Arbonne or Avon or I can't remember that other one. There's lots of
Herbalife.
Herbalife, that's what I was going to say. But then there's a massive risk, I think, from that, because that's not their property. That's somebody else's property. So
it's giving yourself like a sales job.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like I see that more like an independent role. So you're kind of like a consultant in a way.
Yeah. But they'll be like, this is my lifestyle business, and I only need to spend this amount of time, and
they can make a good living off it.
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of people
who do.
There's a lot of people who do really, really well.
That's the minority.
But what happens if that brand does something and it goes boom?
Or you're connected to it.
And you're connected to it. What have you got to turn to after that?
That's the kind of idea, isn't it? You're building up that empire of someone else.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like the idea of owning a McDonald's because I know like exactly how much turnover and profit that a good location will turn, but it's still like a really sort of labour intensive business. So you look at it, there's cleaner ways of making profit than that, but there's something about just the kind of scalability and the association with the brand. But you're exactly right. So say they put out a law, like they put out a law in Scotland banning smoking indoors. That would have massively impacted that industry in that kind of way, and then we see the rise of vape and different things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm not saying it's going to take the cigarette industry out of business, but it can damage revenue, and that could literally be for anything like that. So if they say, right, there's prohibition, or there's this, or there's that, it can rip right through a sector, and overnight you find yourself like, so how do you pivot when you are an MLM? So if you're a multi-level marketing sort of company that's like Herbalife, they need to work out, well, how do we work then around COVID? Because you don't get to choose. You know, you have to go to your kind of head office and say, I'm struggling here, what do I do now? And they go, we're still thinking of a plan, bear with us, you know.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like, how do you pivot if it was like during COVID or whatever? But also further down the line, how do you sell your business? Because it's not your business to sell. So you're essentially right. You are kind of a salesperson to a certain extent.
You actually still can sell MLL. So I inquired about purchasing a B&I region quite recently, which is another similar type of like structured organisation with kind of tiering within it. But it was interesting. I was really interested how they would appropriate the value. So would they do it based on X time multiplier of revenue, subtraction of debts and such like? And the way they said it was actually done is it's done based on the membership. That's how they do it. So I would suspect that things like Arbonne, Avon and so on, it would be done on the consistent velocity of return customer. And then there would probably be a hedge put in against it saying, but these are your contacts, so therefore I would probably get 50% of that maybe at best, because they'll probably be personal friends of yours, or, and this is the interesting thing, the one that has a team. So let's say you're an Avon person and I've got, like, say 3 ladies and 4 men that work for me, and they have a consistency. Their sales are more consistent than what mine's would be directly, because that's more like a business. So it is possible, but you're definitely not going to get the kind of return on a membership organisation or a business like Arbonne or Avon or such like, as you would with a company. It's not to say it doesn't have value, anything's sellable at the end of the day, but I think most people would say, but I'm not Mark, these are Mark's personal relationships. It would be quite hard to keep that. I would expect it to go closer to zero. And also, what are the assets of the business? There isn't really a lot of assets with those kind of companies. Are quite lean the way they're set up.
And that's your rich dad, poor dad as well, making sure that you have assets, rather than liabilities.
I was going to say that, and we'll definitely touch on it in other episodes, is when you're buying a company, having your value extracted back using the assets is a really good way of doing that. So if I know I can buy a company and sell some of the assets that are maybe not seen as kind of value, I can make the money back that I acquire it with just through the sale of that. And actually I can line up the sale of that asset long before I buy the business, because it's like, this has this, would you buy that? Yes, I would. For how much? Would you commit to that? Right, cool. So I know when I buy it, instantly on day one, that gets sold and I get my money back. But how do you do that with a lifestyle business? It's like, well, we'll get 1,000 customers. Like, well, we could also get 0 customers. So I'd be negotiating pretty hard if it was me. The best option would probably be agreeing to migrate it into another one. So if I was Herbalife and you were leaving a region or didn't want to do it anymore, then we could maybe come to an agreement that I would facilitate it, and again we'd do a phasing kind of thing. That's probably the only way I think you can protect yourself from it.
I want to kind of delve into the rewards of it as well. I'd probably say, like, people that do have a lifestyle business, there is a good work-life balance. Again, network marketers, even people in franchise, even people who own businesses as well, they can do what they want. They can work their own hours, and if they need to pick up the kids or drop off the kids, it is excellent. It's a good way to be as well. And I do get it. I do get a lot of people that like that. I also had clients that were network marketers, and that's what they would sell. And I think it was one. It was actually quite good, because if they made a certain amount of sales, they were given a car. They were basically given, like, you can just go and get whatever car you want, just pick.
That's really cool. Huh?
And you're like, what?
It's a brilliant.
That's a brilliant. So it's like a car that's just given to them because they became, a certain level through that. And So there's lots of pros to it as well. You know, freedom. You know, working the days that you want to work.
I can see it appealing to, say if you're like, not to say it's like an age thing, but if I was slightly older, because I think that like my energy right now, I always think about this going, I'm high energy at the moment, but how can I guarantee I'm going to be high energy when I'm like an old dude?
Yeah.
So when I'm like 80, am I going to still have that same sort of John Loudon wake up, kick the door in energy? Possibly not, right?
Possibly.
So, possibly not, right? So maybe I want to kind of like have a wee sideline kind of business, and also it is quite a good way of making passive income as well. Yeah. So a lot of people, they set up their business like your Market Mavens, I'm Hybrid Anchor. But what's stopping you from having something to the side and say people, hey, you've lost a lot of weight, and you say, look, I'm doing Herbalife and this is what I do, and I need the protein shakes for the gym, I need the stuff for the supplements because I don't eat correctly when I'm going to meetings, and literally me carrying a bottle around with me and people seeing that I've lost weight would then say, how you doing that? It's Herbalife, and they say, oh, I'll maybe try that. Look, try it. And then I would make money if they do that. They would get their product, they're happy, and then if they're kind of saying, oh, do you make alright money with that? You're like, yeah, I made £500 last month, but £500's £500. You know, it's money you weren't expecting to have. You made it passively as you were kind of kicking about. There wasn't a big, mad strategy for it. People can do quite well with it, so I definitely don't think it's not a bad thing to have a lifestyle business. And in some ways, I do envy some of the people with it. I spoke to a guy very recently, a guy that's coming on board as a client. He's a mortgage advisor, and then he's very different to my normal clients because he's like, I only work 2 days a week, and you know, all my work is referrals, and I don't really do any networking, I don't do any marketing, I don't have a website, which is why he was talking to me, and then I'm just kind of happy with what I'm doing, to be honest. And I'm thinking that is kind of nice, and I'm pretty sure that my family would love to see more of me, and you know, like you spend more time with the kids, and you know, you pretty much live that kind of retired life. But I don't feel it's productive to me. Like there's something about it, I'm just going, I couldn't cope with it. I don't think I could cope with it, because even when I'm on holiday, I can deal with the first week I really enjoy. The second week I'm kind of like, I do enjoy it, but I'm getting itchy fingers and itchy feet. And then by the time I get back in the business, I'm like, oh, just keep it, come on, like, what's happening, right? Where's this, where's that, what's going on? Like, and I try to immerse myself, and I go like more aggressively into the business, because it's as if you've held yourself. It's like a dog with the biscuits going like that. No, wait for it, and it's like you can get it, and it's like the dog's like super excited, like practically takes your hand off. But that's kind of how I feel. Like you're slowing yourself down, and I also think is, when you're younger is when you have your energy, so like now is the time to hustle, now is the time to kind of build a business. And then when you're older, if you decide that you want to kind of take it easier, that's great, there's no problem with that kind of thing. But I would say that lifestyle businesses are quite good side earners, so if you're looking for passive income, I think it's quite a nice way of doing that, especially if it aligns to what you do anyway. It's
funny you say that, like if I take a holiday, it's maybe 2 weeks or something like that in the sun, I'll be reading business books.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'll be like,
disconnect.
I'm like, this is so good. Like,
you check your emails again? No.
I'm going to do this. But I'll go like that, Ashley, I've got a really good idea, and I go back, and she's like, can you not just relax?
Exactly. You're on holiday right now. Yeah.
Can you not just read another book or something? Like, no, God, I've got so many ideas.
There's only so much time though, isn't there?
Yeah, I know. But I get what you mean. Passive income's a really good idea for my lifestyle business, and also there's strategies around about it as well to maybe even get into business. I know that the people go, I'm actually going to get this little bit of a side earner while I'm also within a company, and
it's
you can almost
idea.
do
when you're an employee stuff,
and you can almost do it part time. And it is a bit like, actually now I'm making enough money that I can actually just say no to that, and I've got my time, I can now start something else. So there's ways and means that you can do it. And as I said, the Tim Ferriss book, 4 Hour Work Week,
great book, yeah,
really great book. And it was even more prevalent now with COVID happening. Where he's basically saying, like, use virtual assistants, do all this sort of stuff, like, remote working. And that's very much a thing now that we've got a lot more remote working. And people, I personally love it. I love getting in and I enjoy, every day of my life working, but people don't. There's people that just like, actually I could get somebody else to do that, and I can go to the coffee shop.
Well, I think that's probably why it doesn't sit easy with me, is So I've not worked in probably about 20 years now, something like that, where I love what I do. If I didn't get paid for it, I would do it for free. Like, I'm just obsessed by it. It's like something I love doing, so therefore it's not a job. So I'm kind of like, why am I trying to remove it? Like, removing a job or overlapping, trying to escape the kind of corporate structure, that's for when you don't enjoy your job. So it's like, you know, I clean the inside of pipes, it's terrible work, it's long hours, it's dangerous, it's cold. I don't like it. That's different to, I actually love what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm really privileged, you're really privileged to work in a sector that's so vibrant, with so much opportunity in it. The world's just going ever more digital, and you're thinking, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, we should be doing more of that. But when you look at it that way, you're thinking, right, so a lifestyle business, is it because they want to escape that? So you could be right, it could be like a bridging kind of thing. What I would be kind of cautious of though is, if people are doing a lifestyle business in order to escape the kind of corporate ladder or whatnot, it's just to be mindful you don't get stuck, because it's kind of like businesses that only grow basically taking investment money. It's a similar thing, I think, with lifestyle. I think you can get jammed into that, and then that becomes your view of the world. Like, business is a lifestyle business, and they're almost like scared to jump into a more structured kind of company because they don't understand hiring staff or you know, having a salary to be responsible of rather than a downline.
I think it's important. Lifestyle business, or you know, looking to buy businesses, it's really, really important to have a goal in place. This series is about a long-term strategy, and having a passive income, maybe starting as a network marketer, maybe starting a business like a coffee shop, it is good. You'll make a little bit of profit, but what is it? What are you going to do 40 years down the line, 30 years down the line, 20 years down the line? What is that end goal? And you really do need to think about that. You know, is that business going to basically fund you in your retirement? Because either you're going to have to start putting a retirement pot away and start putting the money that you're earning away, but you have to be thinking about the years that you're not going to be in business, the time that you're going to actually sell that. So I think it's really, really important to have goals, because people can get stuck in the now and go, "Wow, this is fantastic, and I'm really enjoying my life. I've got a bit of passive income. They've gave me a car." But what happens down the line when you're actually like, you know, am I going to get what it's worth? Am I going to be able to sell it? Am I going to be able to sell fees? Like, really trying to understand that as well. And I think as we've both kind of talked about, really kind of delving in to the risks and rewards of both of it. Again, it's your own personal preference of what you want to do. We're not saying that having a lifestyle business is a bad thing. It's just not what we would do.
Exactly. There is one success story I would share just as we're kind of getting to the end of the episode, and it's someone I know that had a multi-level marketing. So they had like a lifestyle business that was like, it was one of the businesses that you listed, but I'll not name them. Effectively what they did is they took the proceeds, like the money they made from that, and they invested it into property. So for like 30 years they took their profits from that business and pulled it into a property portfolio, and they became a multi-millionaire. So their exit strategy, if you will, is to fall back on the property portfolio, and because the lifestyle business is not a stress, it means that they don't really need to worry about that. They've got so many downlines because they built the network and they built their property portfolio, but that's doing it in a very different way. I would say that they have approached that in a very unusual lifestyle business kind of setup, where they have looked at it more like a company. This makes the money and it feeds that, and the bigger I can make this, the more I can invest over here. They get a property empire, they become a multi-millionaire. It is possible, but it seems like quite it's a hard kind of nut to crack going down that path. You make a lot more money faster as a company, I feel.
But it's the point you made. It's that's essentially the rich dad, poor dad. They've taken the money that they've earned and then they've got assets.
Put it to the side, yeah.
And
assets. You can do that as an employee. That's the thing that people don't realise is you could, so say for example as a job, you get paid £40,000 salary. If you can save X amount, let's say you could save £7,000 or £8,000 per year, and you don't need it, you could set that into index funds, you could set that into property, you could set that into assets or acquire shares of a company. So if you've got a really good career, squirrel money to the side and let that build up, but eventually it will outclass the amount of money you make in your job, and at that point you can retire. And it's kind of no different to a pension pot,
Mm-hmm.
where you think about it in the sense of you squirrel money away and it becomes more valuable. The difference is people don't do that. And it's in Rich Dad Poor Dad is people get more salary and they go, I want the Porsche, I want the Tesla, I want the this, I want the that. They spend the money, I want a bigger house, I want to eat steak dinners, I want to go out here, I want to look fancy, I want to have a nice watch. And it's like, but you're spending. So what you're doing is you're repositioning your kind of like wealth into your style of living, and then you're scuppered because now it's like, oh, I don't want to eat a burger, I want to eat a steak. And you go, but that's why you're broke, because it's like you're matching your lifestyle to your income rather than saying I'll live in the same income I've had for this amount of time and I'll squirrel the rest away. But it's bloody hard, and I get it. I do understand it's difficult for people because they get paid in their account and they probably don't have the financial discipline to separate it, which is probably what they should do.
Excellent. Okay, so wrapping it up, my business belter, what I would say is probably focus on the long term. Although it's a lifestyle business, I would say focus on the long term plan as well. Enjoy your life, of course. Enjoy your life and enjoy the aspects of having a lifestyle business, being able to, if you need to pick up kids or finish early on a Friday or whatever, it's really good. Also kind of touching on, make sure that you make the money sort of work for you. Don't, just squander it away. Try and save it, or try and, invest in assets for the long term, so that you maybe can still have a lifestyle business, but you have actually been investing in property or investing, I don't know, crypto coin or whatever, cryptocurrency, whatever suits you with that as well. What about you? What's your business belter?
Bake swap. That's a new crypto one. But so my business belter would be, in essence, there's nothing wrong with having a lifestyle business. Get yourself insured so that you have that to fall back on would be a big one. Second to that would be, think about what your exit's there. So like Mark said it beautifully, you might not have the option to sell your business, but look at other businesses that are in your space and then ask your upline. So at somewhere in that kind of organisation, whether you're doing Primus for mortgages or Herbalife or whatever it is, there'll be someone that runs your region. Go and talk to them and say, has anyone sold a business in this space? Could I talk to them? And then talk to them about the structure they set up and how the value is actually built, so that you know what you're building towards. Even out with that, you can break the game. So the person I'm talking about, they invested the money in property, and it's a good way of doing that. So it's a dual skill. She's been able to take that money, put it into property, do quite well from the proceeds of it, but then she's still got that kind of day-to-day business, which is, let me just invest in building this great network, and every year she'll become more wealthy, because that's the kind of principle, and she'll be living off the interest or the kind of income that's coming in from these channels. And I just think that's a brilliant model of going at it.
Yeah, amazing, and that's great to wrap up there. So I would like to thank you all for listening in. I hope you're enjoying the series. Next one that we've got coming up is that we're looking at building to sell. So make sure that you tune in for the next series. Again, thank you very much for following the show. As we can see, we're getting a lot more comments, a lot more people talking about it, subscribing and sharing. Just keep up the good work and keep on sharing and subscribing, commenting on the show. As always, we're just trying to share our value, and we hope you find this valuable as well, this episode. So it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye for him.
Thank you.